Greetings everyone, we will continue our discussion on information retrieval systems. In the previous session, we have started about the thesaurus construction and we have looked about the introduction to thesaurus. In this session, we will be looking about what are the various features of your thesaurus. Okay, what will be the influencing parts of your thesaurus. So, by going into the depth, some of the important features of your thesaurus are: first one, the coordination level; second one, the term relationships between the terms, the number of entries for each and every term; third one, the specificity of your vocabulary; fourth, next you are having control on the term frequency of class members; and at last, the normalization of your vocabulary. So these are the various features of your thesaurus. We will be looking about these features one by one. The first one, the coordination level. So as you should have remembered, your thesaurus will contain a set of terms and the relationship between those terms. So your coordination refers to the construction of phrases from individual terms. Okay, so the first thing about your construction of your thesaurus will be about the construction of terms. Okay, what are the phrases you have to create from those terms? Okay, we will be having a large text. From that text, what are the terms which are to be present in your thesaurus? That will be the first decision point, or the coordination level. So two distinct coordination options are recognized in the thesaurus. One is pre-coordination or post-coordination. Okay, whether you want to perform the pre-coordination process of your thesaurus or the post-coordination process of your thesaurus. Okay, developing the terms from your phrases. For example, information retrieval is your complete phrase. From this phrase, you have to be able to separate the terms. That is, one is information, another one is the retrieval. So how we are going to construct these individual terms from the phrases? That what we will be calling it as the coordination process. Whether this coordination process can be done before itself while creating the index, or whether you are going to do the coordination process only during the searching process. Remember, the thesaurus will be used during the index process as well as the information retrieval process or your searching process. So whether the coordination is done only during the indexing, or whether it is done during the indexing part, that we will be calling it as the pre-coordination, or it is done only during the searching time. So a pre-coordination thesaurus is one that contains phrases. That is, okay, what you are trying to do is, before itself you try to create the complete set of phrases which can be present in your system. Okay, this will be calling it as pre-coordinated thesaurus. A pre-coordinated thesaurus means we will be having all the list of terms or all the list of phrases which can be indexed in your complete information retrieval system. All those terms are prefixed or they will be present in your thesaurus. Those we will be calling it as pre-coordinated thesaurus. Okay, so consequently the phrases are available for indexing as well as retrieval. As you can understand, the terms which can be present in your thesaurus are created before itself. That is, the terms which can be present as well as the phrases which can be present as a part of your system are decided before itself. Okay, this has to be done either manually, they have to be done either manually, or it has to be done automatically. Okay, as you can understand, for a large text for your information retrieval system, you have to be identifying the terms which can be present in your system. Okay, those will be part of your thesaurus. What are the terms which can be present in your system and what are the phrases which can be present in your system has to be decided before itself, and they will be present in your thesaurus. This is what we will be calling it as pre-coordinated thesaurus. When you are having pre-coordinated thesaurus, at that time indexing part will be very much easier. Why? Because all the possible indexing terms will be present in your thesaurus. It will be much easier, and whatever the words which are present in your pre-coordinated thesaurus can be helpful for you in the retrieval process as well. So post-coordinated thesaurus does not allow phrases. That is, whenever you are having the post-coordinated thesaurus, it does not allow phrases. Instead, phrases are constructed while searching only. So during the searching process itself, the phrases are constructed. You don't have the inbuilt part, that is, they will not be present in your system before itself. Okay, while searching while during the searching process itself, you will be constructing the phrases. Those phrases will be searched in your system. Okay, this is how your post-coordinated thesaurus will work. So the advantage in your pre-coordination is that the vocabulary is very precise, thus reducing ambiguity in indexing and searching. So as you have seen in the pre-coordinated thesaurus, whatever the words which can be present in your thesaurus is fixed before itself. So your vocabulary will be a fixed vocabulary, you will not be having much issue. Okay, the indexing will be very much clear and precise, and your searching will be according to whatever the words that are present in your thesaurus. So this will be the advantage of your pre-coordinated thesaurus. Also, commonly accepted phrases will become part of the vocabulary. So more commonly used phrases will automatically part of your vocabulary. This is not the case with your pre-coordinated thesaurus. So since it is not common with your post-coordinated thesaurus. In a pre-coordinated thesaurus, all the vocabulary words which can be part of your system will be fixed before itself. So your indexing will be very much precise and clear, and the searching will be accordingly done with much ease compared to a post-coordinated thesaurus. So the disadvantage is that the searcher has to be aware of the phrase construction rules employed. Okay, as you have seen, so whatever the words which can be present in that particular thesaurus is fixed itself before itself, and the words will be having a specific meaning, and the index is created according to the thesaurus. But the disadvantage is at the searcher's side, the searcher has to know in what way this particular thing is implemented, what type of words he can search, what are the phrases he can search. Okay, so if he tries to mix the searches, it will not be possible for your system to retrieve the results. Okay, so for example, if I am trying to search for a word, information retrieval, if your particular pre-coordinated thesaurus implemented this as one phrase, implemented this particular thing as one term or one phrase, and there is no separate terms for information and retrieval, that is, there is no separate word information and there is no separate word retrieval. Okay, so your system has implemented information retrieval as one phrase in your system. At that time, if I try to search with a word like retrieval information, that is, if I try to search with a query like retrieval information, at that time your system will not be giving you a result regarding either information or retrieval or information retrieval. Okay, it will not be able to give you corresponding results. Why? Because the terms are already fixed here. The terms which can be present in the system, that is, the terms which are fixed for your thesaurus are fixed here. Okay, if I search for different types, at that time it will not be possible for your system to retrieve the results. So the thesaurus can adopt an intermediate level of coordination by allowing both phrases and single words. Okay, you can have both phrases as well as single words in your particular coordination system, and some thesaurus may emphasize 2 or 3 word phrases while others may emphasize even larger sized phrases. Okay, so you might be having single words, or you might be having two word phrases, or you might be having 3 word phrases or larger phrases. Based upon the implementation of your thesaurus, or based upon the coordination level of your thesaurus, your number of phrases or the large size of your phrase also will be decided before itself. Okay. So the level of coordination is important as well. That is how it should be recognized that higher the level of coordination, the greater the precision of your vocabulary, but larger the vocabulary size. Okay, if you perform the coordination at the highest level, that is, if you break down the complete if you break down the complete phrases into terms, and you are trying to store those terms as separate terms. Okay, that is high level of what you can call it as coordination. Okay, so if you are having high level of coordination, we will be getting a precise result, as you have seen. Okay, if you are storing it as information retrieval as one term, okay, that is one level of coordination where you are storing the complete thing as one phrase. Okay, or there can be another level of coordination where you are storing it as information separately, retrieval separately. There are two terms now. Okay, at this time this is the different level of coordination where you are storing different words separately. Okay, this is one level of coordination where you are having phrases with multiple words. Okay, here you are having another level of coordination where you are having individual terms with separate terms. Okay, at the time what you are seeing is, if you are having high level of coordination, that is each and every word is treated as separate term or separate character. At that time, if you are having high level of what you can call it as the coordination, the greater the precision. That is, when I try to search for a particular term, we will be getting the result properly. If I try to search for information retrieval, okay, I will be getting the terms about information and I will be getting the information about the retrieval process as well. Okay, but here if I try to do the retrieval information, that is, as I told you in the previous slide, if I try to search for a key retrieval information, since there is no thing here, that is, there is no retrieval information term, it will not be giving you a result. Okay, as the level of your coordination increases, the precision of your results will increase. Okay, but the size of your whatever thesaurus you are implementing also will increase. That is, the vocabulary size also will increase here. Okay, the number of words you have to store in your thesaurus also will rise. Okay, it also implies that an increase in the number of relationships to be encoded. As the number of terms increases, you have to include the relationships between the terms as well. As I told you, a thesaurus is about having terms and the relationship between the terms. Here, you are forming a terms. As you form more number of terms in your vocabulary, you have to form the relationship between the terms in the vocabulary as well. Okay, so that is about your advantage of having high level of coordination. When you are having high level of coordination, you will be getting precise result, but the number of terms in the vocabulary rises. As the number of terms in the vocabulary rises, the relationship between the terms also has to be increased. Okay. And the advantage of post coordination, that is, you don't have a pre-coordination. Okay, that is, you are not performing a coordination before itself during the indexing part. You don't have coordination. At that time, post coordination is that user need not worry about the exact ordering of a words in a phrase. As I told you, while searching itself, if you are performing the post coordination, so the post coordination means while searching for a particular term, you need not be concerned about the ordering of the words. Okay, if I give information retrieval query, it will be giving you the results, or if I give retrieval information, it will be giving you the same set of results. Okay, so in a post coordination where you are not having this particular part of storing them in a coordinated manner. Okay, so in the post coordination you will not be having this issue of ordering the terms. Okay, in pre-coordination you have the issue of ordering terms. Okay, so whether you give this term or this term, if your system is using post coordination, you will not be having an issue. So phrase combinations can be created as and when appropriate during searching. So when I search for retrieval information, that particular phrase combination will be created in your thesaurus. Okay, that particular search phrase will be created in your thesaurus, like that. Phrase combinations will be created during thesaurus searches. Okay, the disadvantage is that the search precision may fall. Okay, if you use the post coordination, the search precision will be very low. That is, the number of effective retrievals will be very less. Okay, or the number of appropriate terms which you are retrieving from the information retrieval system will be very low. So these are the advantages and disadvantages of your post coordination and pre coordination. Okay, in a pre-coordination we will be having your terms, they will be present as different levels of coordination based upon your implementation. Okay, in your pre-coordination you will be having better index. Why? Because the terms will be fixed, you will be able to create a precise index, and the searching process also will be easy. But the disadvantage is, as the level of your coordination increases, okay, the number of terms which you have to store will rise, and the number of relationship between those terms which you have to store also will increase, and the complexity of the system will increase as the coordination will increase in your post-coordination. In pre-coordination. In post-coordination, okay, your searching will be much simpler for the user. Why? Because he need not be concerned about which order he is placing the search. He can be performing any type of search easily. But the problem is, whatever the result he is getting might not be a perfect result. He might be getting improper results from the information retrieval system. So this is about your coordination levels. Okay. Coming to how this coordination is implemented, pre-coordination is more common in manual construction thesauri. Okay, we are having two types of constructions of your thesaurus. One is manual construction, another one is automatic construction. Manual construction will be done basically by the users who are actually implementing the thesaurus. Automatic construction will be done by using your systems or algorithms. Automatic phase construction is quite difficult, and therefore automatic thesaurus construction usually implies post-coordination. Okay, so there is no pre-coordination of your automatic thesaurus construction. Why? Because those many number of terms, enumeration, separation of the terms, okay, will be very tough for your algorithms. So usually the thesaurus construction of coordination implementation of your automatic thesaurus constructions will usually use your post-coordination. Okay, so the pre-coordination will be used in your manual construction, and your post-coordination will be used in your automatic thesaurus constructions. The second type of your features of your particular thesaurus is your term relationships. Okay, the term relationships are the most important aspects of your thesaurus, since vocabulary connections they provide are most valuable for your retrieval. Okay, as you can understand, your term relationships are the most important. Why? Because whenever the retrieval process is happening, all the related terms has to be known for a particular term. Okay, at that particular place, the relationship between the terms will be helpful for you. So many kinds of relationships are expressed in manual thesaurus. Okay, so these are the semantic in nature and reflect underlying conceptual interactions between the terms. So while performing the manual thesaurus construction, these relationships can be, or the more application dependent relationships can be found very easily. Why? Because they will be done by the subject experts. So manual relationship between the terms will be done. Okay, so this will be more semantic in nature. They will reflect the underlying conceptual interconnection between the terms. So based upon the applications, okay, application terms, so the connections between the terms will be done manually in the manual construction of your thesaurus. Okay, the same thing which if you want to implement by using your automatic thesaurus, which will be very complex. So there are three categories of term relationships. This is one type of category. One is equivalence relationships, hierarchical relationships, and non-hierarchical relationships. As you have seen in the last session about one system where you will be using the hierarchical relationship between the terms. Okay, where you will be having the child, parent child like part of child. Okay, so we will be having the hierarchical relationship between the terms in the particular system. Okay, so that is how we can be having hierarchical relationship, that is parent child like relationship in your terms. Okay, there are other types of relationships which can be formed. Your equivalence relationships include both synonyms as well as quasi-synonyms. Okay, so the equivalence relationship is about having a term and similar terms will be with the same meaning will be having the synonyms, and you are also having the quasi-synonyms. So synonyms can arise because the trade names popular and local usage, superseded terms and the like. Okay, so the synonyms can be arised by using various related terms. Okay, so all the related terms with the same meaning can be treated for your synonyms. Quasi-synonyms are terms which are for the purpose of retrieval can be regarded as synonyms. So quasi-synonyms are not actual meaningful terms for the same term, but they can be used as synonyms for retrieval purpose only. Okay, they will not be having the same meaning, but since it is for a retrieval purpose, you can be using those terms. Okay, otherwise they are not similar terms. They are only related terms, they are not similar terms. This is how your equivalence relation can be formed between the terms. So the equivalence relationship can be formed by using your synonyms and quasi-synonyms. Synonyms are those which are related terms with a similar meaning. Quasi-synonyms are those which don't have the same meaning, but they can be helpful for retrieval purpose. That is, they are related terms, but they are only for retrieval purpose only. Okay, for example, your quasi-synonyms, your genetics word and hereditary word, which have significant overlap in the meaning, can be considered as quasi-synonyms. Even though those words are not same words and they are not related, they are related words, but they don't have the same meaning. Okay, so your genetics and hereditary word can be treated as your quasi-synonyms for each other. Okay, when I search for genetics, I can get the hereditary as well. Okay, that is how your quasi-synonyms will be present. And also the terms like hardness and tenderness, which represent different viewpoints of the same property continuum. Okay, so they might be representing different properties, they can be treated as quasi-synonyms. So these are mainly for retrieval purpose only. That is, if you search for harshness, if you search for this word harshness, similar tenderness word results also can be retrieved. Okay, in this manner your thesaurus will contain a relationship between your terms. Okay, so the equivalence relationship between the terms can be either synonym relationship or quasi-synonym relationship. Okay, next, a typical hierarchical relationship is generally the genus-species relationship, such as a dog and German Shepherd. Okay, we can be having your this will be genus. Okay, this will be species. These species are part of this genus, like this. The part of relationship can be represented by your hierarchical relationship, or your parent-child relationship can be part. Okay, so generalization or specialization like this relationship can be represented by using your hierarchical relationships. Non-hierarchical relationships also identify conceptually related terms. So there are many examples including thing part, such as bus and seat, thing attribute like rose and fragrance. These are non-hierarchical relationships. Okay, so these non-hierarchical relationships also can be formed for your terms. Okay, so for your information retrieval system, either you have to choose one of the relationships. So that is, either you have to use your equivalence relationship between the terms, or you have to use your hierarchical relationship between the terms, or you can use a non-hierarchical relationship between the terms. Okay, there are other classifications for the same types of relationships which we are not discussing here, but this particular property, that is the relationship between terms, is very much important for your retrieval process. Okay. So moreover, at least some of the semantic relationships are commonly included in manual thesauri. So for each and every term, the semantically related terms will be included in your manual in thesauri. Identifying these relationship between requires knowledge of the domain for which thesaurus is being designed. So if I want to find out the relationship between each and every term in your complete system, there is a little bit of more knowledge of your complete domain is necessary to create your relationships. Okay. So most, if not all of these semantic relationships are difficult to identify by automatic methods. As I told you, forming these relationships, okay, automatically will be very much tough, especially by algorithms, but that exploit only the statistical relationship between terms as exhibited in the document collections. Okay, so all these relationships are usually performed by manual process. If I want to implement the same thing by your automatic methods, it will be very tough. Why? Because finding out all the relationship between the terms, which is more application dependent, is very complex thing to do. Okay. So in this session we have seen about the two features of your thesaurus construction. One is your coordination levels, and the second one is the relationship between the terms. The coordination level is about how you are going to identify the terms from your phrases. What is the level of terms you are going to find? That is, your phrase can contain how many number of words in the particular phrase. Okay, whether you can perform a post coordination or the pre-coordination. What are the advantages of post coordination and the pre-coordination? And we have seen your relationship between the terms. How you can develop this relationship between the terms? Whether you are using the synonym. What are the types of relationships? That is the equivalence relationship, the hierarchical relationships, the non-hierarchical relationships. These are the various properties or features of your thesaurus construction. In the next session, we will be looking about the other features of your thesaurus. Thank you.